Jacob Heppner, so congratulations on qualifying for the 2019 CrossFit Games. This is going to be the first time that you're going to be competing in the last 3 years. So how does it feel to finally be making it back?
It feels good to be back. Like, it's been a long couple years. For those who have followed along, obviously in 2016, I went to the games and placed 10th overall. No, I'm sorry, 7th.
Seventh, yeah.
7th overall. And then 2017, I got bursitis right in my left knee or right knee before I started the open. And by the time it came to, I think we had dumbbell snatches and burpee box jump overs, and that hurt. And I was like, I'm not going to be able to squat at all. And then, of course, we had squat snatches for 17.2, and I wasn't even able to even do that. So I had to pull out. So I couldn't do that. And then, of course, 2018, we had a little bit of handstand push-up fun. And obviously, I made the conscious decision to not go forward with that and to sit the year out, of course. So, and now 2019, we're back.
Now, that's a really long time. A lot of the athletes who don't make it back 1 year, don't make it back 2 years for whatever reason, either through injury or perhaps they just didn't qualify in the regional system. That's a really long time to be absent from the competition floor. So what are you feeling now going into the next couple months of training and then coming back to the competition floor for the first time in 3 years?
Sure, yeah. So, yeah, it is hard to be away from the competition floor. Your next question is probably going to be like, hey, you haven't really competed anywhere. And that's true. That's very true. But the nice part is I train with a couple guys that we compete every day. Now, it's not like I don't have, I have them judge me at times, but it's not like I have a crowd watch me. It's not like I have this. But the fact of the matter is I can't even see very far. So even when I'm on the floor of the field, who cares? Because I can't even see the clock or see the crowd. So it is nice to have guys that train with me. And then I always have, if you follow me, follow my journey, I always have guys like Hunter or guys like Chandler Smith, or I always have guys rolling in to train from usually top tier games athletes that come train all the time. So it's always nice to have those guys roll in and out. So yes, I have not been on a floor technically competing, but it's nice to compete on a daily basis with guys.
Fair enough. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the competition, right? So you've been working at this for a long time. What?
2013 was my first regionals.
And what kind of expectations do you have for yourself at the games?
Yeah, so I think we set expectations the first year I made it at the games. The first year you made it at the games and you're just like, I made it at the games, like there's no expectations. And so the first year at the games was 18th, and I decided after that year I was like, I think I can do better than 18th. And so the next year I said, I want to be top 10. Well, I was 10th, okay? And then the next year I was like, well, I broke top 10, I want to do better, and I got 7th. So the goal, every year the goal should be to get better. And so this year the goal would be to be better than 7th.
You think you can do that?
I gotta do that. I think it really comes down to really what the games format looks like. I mean, will the cream rise to the crop no matter what happens? Absolutely. I mean, you're seeing that this year in the Open. Like, Frazier is still gonna dominate no matter how you make it to the games or whatever the case may be. But will the cream rise to the top? Yes. But it's gonna be kind of nice to know if they're making cuts, how that's gonna work, how they'll play into athletes' favors or not in their favors.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are unknown in this going into the game season, so it's gonna be very different. How athletes are gonna approach is gonna obviously depend on what they end up doing, right? Okay, so let's talk about sanctions a little bit. Like, you've been doing almost all of the sanctional qualifiers so far.
I started the hashtag quest to do all the qualifiers.
Right, so you practically did most of them. You've done a little bit of travel, so you didn't quite submit the scores for every single one, but you've pretty much gone through and you've done them all. You've qualified for a lot of them that are in the back half of the season, the ones that are taking place right now. You've withdrawn your name from a couple of them. Our fans going to get a chance to see you compete before the games on a sanctionals floor. Yeah, so I bought a plane ticket. Or I have a plane ticket in my possession. Very good. And so, barring natural disaster, I'll be competing at the Down Under CrossFit Championships May 17th through 19th. I will be there May 17th through 19th, along with Jake Fulham and possibly Andrew Keekler. Awesome. So we'll be there competing. That'll be the first time I've probably been on a quote-unquote competition floor for, 3 years. The games, right? Since 2016 CrossFit Games. 2016. So, I decided that going into the season, knowing when the rule book came out, actually the rule book came out after some of the qualifiers already came out, right? So it would behoove you not to have done some of the online qualifiers for Dubai and Wodapalooza. Yeah. And so I decided to do them, and I decided, you know what, knowing the rule book when it came out, it was in my best interest to qualify for as many as I can. That way I had as many plan Bs as I possibly could get, because I want to have every option available to me. That way, after the Open, hypothetically, let's say that I didn't have an Open that played in my favor or didn't do well, and I therefore would have the option of choosing from a plethora, if not every single one, and making the decision of which one would be beneficial for me to go to. Okay, so you're going to be at Down Under. Let's talk about the Open a little bit. So since the Open just wrapped up, the Open is officially wrapped up. The Open is officially wrapped up. We just got news about the top 20 athletes who've now been qualified. You're one of those athletes.
Now, so, you know, as an athlete who in the past, last year was involved in a little bit of open controversy, you know, how does it make you feel that an athlete has received an invite to the CrossFit Games that didn't actually complete the full workout?
I made the conscious decision that if they asked for that video, that it wasn't worth it to me to turn in that video and have someone else look at it that could say to themselves, oh, Jacob's not even hitting that standard.
Yeah.
And in the long run, when it really comes down to it, like, I'm not going to be doing CrossFit forever. And at some point, I will leave the sport, or I will stop competing. I won't leave the sport, but I'll stop competing. And in the long run, I would rather be known as a good man because he made good decisions to uphold standards or integrity or whatever the case may be than a good athlete. Because yes, I could have decided I want to go to the games and I'm just going to turn this in. But I didn't want to get caught with my pants down, hypothetically.
Right.
And then now people are saying, well, Jacob's a cheater. Because usually what happens is if you're lambasted with it once, it sticks.
It sticks, yeah, of course. And that's the nature of social media. It's often jump to conclusions, sort of. But with that label comes on, it's going to follow you for a long time.
Unless you've got like specific proof.
Right.
I mean, yes, could I have done that and then argued my way and said, this standard is terrible, like it's stupid, what I should have to do it? Yeah, I could do that, but that wouldn't have done, like, negativity, argue with more negativity doesn't get you anywhere.
Yeah, fair enough. So last question, let's talk about like the road to the games now. Okay, so usually, you know, your past experience, you'd be training, gearing up for regionals right now, and then you'd be gearing up for the CrossFit Games.
Yeah.
But that's not happening right now. You've got a fresh slate to basically go.
Yeah.
How are you going to prepare yourself?
What's it gonna look like?
Yeah, what's it gonna look like?
Yeah, sure. So honestly, after the Open, it was kind of like, to be honest, like, it doesn't matter if you have the most perfect Open scores in the world. There is always that subconscious in the back of your mind, like, I didn't unofficially make it, but it was nice this morning to be told, you're going to the games.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, cool. Like, I'm going to the games.
Yeah.
Now I can
Weight's
see myself.
been lifted off.
Yeah, yeah. For some reason, it doesn't even matter what happens, but it's nice to know that. And so now I took a couple weeks off after the Open, like most athletes did, unless you're going to a sanctional.
Yep.
And so now we're gearing up for game season. And so how does that look differently? Well, of course, like, we're going to put in movements and stuff that is not going to be seen in the Open. The Open, because necessarily, according to Jillian Michaels, is pretty much very limited. Like, we only have, like, what, 27 movements?
25, 26 movements.
27,
yeah.
we only need like 25 movements, and usually one random one that gets thrown, like, sure can't stand push-ups.
Yeah.
And so now, I mean, we got everything. Are you good at underwater basket weaving? How good are you at dancing? I don't know. You name it. I mean, look, Rogue's doing an air rifle shoot. I mean, you name it, they can do it. And so now we're looking at getting outside. We're going outside. We are running, biking, rowing outside.
Assuming like heavier barbells, right? Like heavier apparatuses.
Yeah. The whole thing. Because I mean, like, in the Open, you're not going to do 5 ladders in a row. We can't do that. But now we can. And so, honestly, you know, it makes me smile because the last time I did this was 2.5, 3 years ago. And it is the absolute best part of the season after regionals.
Yeah. When
you get to do games training. It is so much fun. I remember, like, 2016, I would come home just dead beat, and I would have pretty much 2 to 3 times a week I have a pina colada. I know it's not good for you, but I was like, man, I am so dead. I just want something in my body that tastes good. And you laughed at me last night because you're like, that's a crap ton of sugar.
Yeah, it is a crap ton of sugar, but I guess it doesn't matter because you're training so hard that you, like, you know, weight is just shedding off your body at that point.
But I'm stoked. It's not me that's programming for it. Andrew, of course, is the guy who programs for me through Midwest Made.
Yep.
And so he does a lot of programming for me, but the best part is Andrew's been with me for, 4 to 5 years. One of the smartest guys I know. And the best part about having a coach that, I mean, he lived in the basement of my house for a year.
Yes.
And so he knows me so well, he knows exactly what I want to do and exactly what I don't want to do. Like, he knows, he's like, Jacob hates deadlifts and a neck on. He don't want to do them. So he's like, let's program him and see what he does.
Right.
And so that's the beauty of it, is we're going to spend a lot of time in these next 3 months attacking things I'm not good at.
Weaknesses.
And if you ask people what Jacob Heppner's not good at, everyone can name it. And so that's what we're working on.
Handstand push-ups, right?
Handstand push-ups.
Handstand
push-ups, assuming we're not measuring my forearm, then we're golden.
Awesome. All right, well, best of luck over the season. Thanks so much for the interview, and we'll be following closely.
And I'll bring, is Winston next?
Yeah. Winston's coming up next. He's just getting his makeup done.
Thanks, Justin.
All right, thank you.